So, like a lot of people in other surrounding southern states, after these last couple hurricanes, I got real interested in communications because it sucks not being able to communicate with people. And yeah, so I've had a fun week and a half or so, kind of dabbling into ham radio, and I kind of just want to share everything I've learned so far. I guess I'm just going to do kind of like a watered down, simplified version, of kind of what I've learned, because I don't want to go too in depth because I don't know a whole lot about this stuff still, really. I'm only a week and a half, like I said, into kind of like studying, if you will, to test for my technician's license, which I do. We'll go ahead and say you should get licensed so you can practice. People aren't going to talk to you on radio unless you have a license, and you can't practice if you can't talk to people, and that's just the way it is. And you got to practice to get good. This isn't just pick it up in an emergency and use it. You need to learn how to use this and remember how to use it and practice with it just like you do a handgun and shooting. So anyway, I'll start with the hardware. This is how it started versus how it's going. But I'll start with what I got. This is just your Baofeng UV5R. This is the 8W, which I'm assuming means 8 watts, but from what I can tell on the internet, any UV5R variant is the same exact radio and is not more powerful than another. And this is how it came. I ordered a 2-pack with the extended batteries and an extra antenna. So it came with the antenna that you see on there now, as well as this kind of like, it's an Abri antenna, kind of like a Nagoya 77 whatever, which is kind of like, was at least the gold standard for UHF VHF antennas. And yeah, how you see it is how it came. I got 2 of them. It came with the pocket clips not installed, but I threw one on, and it's great. The battery lasts a long time. You can charge it with a cord. It came with base stations, the whole nine. And this is the sister or brother, if you will, to the twin pack, or this one, just came in a twin pack. This is the other one. And I have some cool aftermarket parts for it. Obviously you can see it's a lot smaller. I got the shorter, like stubby, not stubby, this is a normal battery. That's the extended battery. I got like the normal size battery, but with the USB-C charger, which is in the bottom. You can't see it right now because I've also got this covert arms plastic case on there, as well as their push to talk guard that bolts in to the back right here where the belt clip would normally bolt onto. I've also got an SMAF to BNC male adapter and a BNC female signal stick antenna, which is just kind of a quick release setup. So that's your adapter that screws into the factory port on the UV5R, which looks like this, and I can show you this because this is not a gun. And it screws into there, gives you that like, so you go from a male coax kind of thing there to a female, and then this, instead of threading on, just kind of cam locks on with a half turn, and you're done. And then you don't wear out those threads, easy to take on and off. And other than that, that is pretty much it. I've got some Ranger bands on here and just a rubber band off my broccoli because it looks cool. I just thought it looked cool with the brown signal stuff antenna. And yeah, I think it looks great. Emphasis on looks. It looks great. But, and I won't go too hard on them because they seem like a pretty small and pretty new company, but this covert arms stuff is just really, really flimsy. And to give you an idea, this obviously covers the buttons, raises a bezel around the push to talk. This is kind of a setup to keep you from inadvertently hitting buttons. And I like to carry this in my pocket more so than I do on a belt clip. That's why I got the smaller battery and this button cover. But let's turn it on here. I can easily push. There are 3 buttons on the front that are raised up higher than your keys, which would be these right here, your VFO and memory channels, which that just changes from like a channel mode. So you've got, your A frequency and your B frequency, and then you have channels for both. That's what that is. And then you can hit VFO or memory, and that takes you to just like a frequency. So if I go up and down here, I just am going up 2.5 on the frequency. So those are all exposed, and the band button, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know what that is used for yet. There's a lot of things, a lot of little things to learn about ham radio. But it's just really thin stuff, really thin plastic, this covert arm stuff is. And I think as they grow, maybe they'll get better. And I don't say that, I feel mean saying that, but it's true. I mean, this is just a little too thin. It needs a little bit more, um, R&D. And there is some really good things about it, which I will talk about those as well. It's cut perfectly. Everything is cut immaculately to fit these buttons. I mean, it's like precision cut, which honestly, kudos to Baofeng and Covert Arms for making such consistent products, because this fits together like a glove. Even the push to talk, even though it is, I'll show you what I mean by how thin the push to talk is too. It's just like, it bolts on over here. There's no support in there. So anyway, I may have just hit my push to talk button. I hope I didn't. Let me turn this off before I keep interfering. So that's the hardware. Would I recommend going this route? Absolutely not. If cost is a barrier to entry, buy the cheapest UV5R you can find on Amazon and run with that. That will do anything. This will do essentially, the antenna is giving me a little bit of added capability, but not to the point where it's a necessity. If cost is not a barrier to entry, why are you spending $1,000 on a carry gun and $35 on a handheld radio? That's my question to you. Just buy a little bit nicer radio. And to clear up any confusion, because this is something that I had questions about when I first got into it or first started looking into it. Not saying that like I've been in the ham radio space for very long, but when I first started looking into it, I didn't know what to get. I knew this was like your cheapest, like PSA Dagger style entry level ham radio, and there are a lot of videos on it, so I got that. I quickly found out all ham radios are the same, and nicer ones are just easier to use and have more creature comforts and better screens, and maybe a higher output, water resistant, more rugged, that kind of thing. So just do a little bit of research. Yaesu's a great brand, ICOM's a great brand. If cost is not a barrier to entry, go ahead and just buy a nice radio. They all do the same thing, especially handhelds. So unless you're going GMRS, which that's a whole nother thing, that's channelized and locked onto a set of like 20 something frequencies. Whereas a handheld ham radio like this, although it's against the rules to transmit on GMRS, it can, but then it can also do ham radio frequencies and just a much more wide range of frequencies. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I've learned a lot. Go ahead and get licensed. Use hamstudy.org. Watch a lot of ham radio crash course. He's got a lot of great videos. It doesn't take long. I've taken one practice test. Like I said, I've been like watching YouTube and kind of studying a little bit for the past week and a half. I passed my first practice test, not with a great grade. I made a 77. Passing is a 75. So I barely passed, but I passed. My first try ever. I mean, it's really not hard to get your technician, and it's fairly inexpensive. It's like $15 for the test and $35 for the license to the FCC. You pay the test administrators, and then you pay the FCC separately, I believe. But you get a call sign, which is also cool. You get to, use phonetics for your call sign. You got Josh from Ham Radio Crash Course, which is Kilo India 6 November Alpha Zulu, I think. KI6NAZ, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool call sign there, Josh. But watch his stuff. Watch Not a Rubicon for GMRS content. You may decide GMRS is the way you want to go. It is a lot simpler. You can encrypt that. It is honestly, like I said, the way you may want to go if you just want to use this as a tool and not also as kind of like a hobby. GMRS may be for you, which there is, FRS as well, which I won't go too into detail about this, but GMRS and FRS share the same set locked channel list. FRS is just limited to 2 watts on a handheld radio. GMRS, I don't know what the watt limit is or if there is one. I guess there's not one on a GMRS if you have your GMRS license, but you don't have to test for that. You can just pay for the license. It covers your whole immediate family. GRMRS is something really cool that, like I said, if you're just using this as a tool, definitely something to look into, maybe the route you want to go. But if you're like me, you like to tinker, you like to mess with stuff, you like to kind of like hack stuff, and it's not even like hacking as much as it is just learning and like learning about frequencies and radio waves, but ham radio may be more your speed. So that is pretty much it. If you have any comments or any questions, definitely leave them in the comments. I'll come back and touch on this subject some more in the future. Definitely want to keep the firearms content going, because that's like, you have like hobbies and offshoots of hobbies. Firearms is definitely like a main hobby. Ham radio right now is just definitely like kind of an offshoot. It's like knives, like pocket knives. Like I like a good pocket knife, but I'm not like a snob about it. It's kind of where I'm at with ham radio. It may take over, my life, but it may just end up being something that I learn how to do to the point where I'm happy and comfortable, practice a few times a year, and call it a day at that. I do want to get a mobile rig in my car, but I'd be lying if I said that wasn't more for just like aesthetic reasons than anything else, because they look sick. And got a 4Runner. It's a Japanese car. Get a Japanese Yaesu mobile radio, like an old school one that matches the aesthetic. I don't know. I just think that would look really cool and be neat to use. I think that's it though. If I messed anything up, any hams watching this video, definitely comment and correct me. I don't want to spread misinformation. I kind of just want to, give people a jump start and kind of tell them things that I wish I knew. So, like, don't just buy this because there's a lot of YouTube videos on it. All these are the same. Like, all handheld ham radios are essentially the same. If they transmit on the UHF and VHF frequency bands, that's really all you want to worry about, which would be a dual band radio, and then they even have tri-band radios. So if you really wanted to get something a little nicer, you could spend a few $100 and get a tri-band handheld radio and have even more a wider range of frequencies to tune into. But yeah, definitely do some research, watch a lot of YouTube like I have, study on ham radio crash course, and just come to terms with the fact that you're nowhere near prepared for emergency comms, and start doing better, because that's what I realized, and I think not enough people realize that. So I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate everything. Can't believe I'm at 1,500 subs. That's wild to me. And hopefully the ham content isn't super boring. Let's see, just to see if we can get anybody talking on here. Yep. So I'm monitoring 2 stations right now, 145.330, which is a local repeater, then 147.585, which I'm not entirely sure what exactly that is. It's really hard to figure all this stuff out just by listening in. And not finding, you can look up these stations on YouTube or on Google and find, on Repeater Book, find local repeaters. But I was actually able to get a call sign and Google him and email one of the guys on like a talk show, and an online, not an online, but like an on radio talk show. And he was actually able to respond to me on the air, which was really cool. So even if you can't transmit, there are ways to communicate, and it's definitely beneficial to listen. And to give you just like a visual of peak aesthetics, because I have these screens, you can set them from like blue and orange and purple. I've got them set to orange everything when I receive and when I transmit, but they just look really cool when the orange light is on. Let me turn this lamp off as well. I don't know. That just looks cool to me. Maybe I'm just a nerd, but there's the blue, and you can have it do purple as well. But I like the orange. I think that looks really cool. Yeah. All right. That's it, guys. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will, you'll see me in the next one. I won't see you, but holler at me in the comments. I'll see you there.